So anybody who's ever backed up an RV knows that communication is really important. And that's why we got these. So let me see how much farther back I've got to go. Okay, I've got 2 more feet. In case you need a refresher on the Morse code, it is on the front, just in case you forgot. So this is, in case you want to pick one up for yourself, this is an Archer Space Control from the 1960s, 1970s.
And there'll be an Amazon link in the description below.
So a quick backstory on how we got these.
We ended up with these fun classic walkie-talkies thanks to one of you. Cindy, KE2AED, responded back to our blog post where we had restored a J38 straight key. Cindy shared something amazing with us. She actually got her ham license in honor of her grandmother because her family has deep roots in radio going all the way back to World War II. Her grandmother, Mrs. Frances Hubner, was the very first woman licensed in New York City's War Emergency Radio Service. And she sent us a full-page newspaper story from the 1940s showing Frances learning to use a bug. She also uncovered articles about her grandfather, Frank Hubner, who went on to become an early CB radio pioneer and even wrote a QST article in 1944 about how wartime radio operators should be welcomed into amateur radio after the war. Cindy's keeping that legacy alive today as she learns Morse code herself.
And inspired by these great articles that she shared with us about her family, we started digging through old newspaper articles in search of the earlier days of ham radio and Morse code. We stumbled on a 1980s Radio Shack advertisement for Space Patrol walkie-talkies that even included being able to send Morse code. We jumped onto eBay and sure enough, we found some for sale.
We found a tiny snippet from Vernon County Censor from 1908 announcing a new device called the Vibroplex and its new way to send dots and dashes without muscular exertion. We found another article from several years later in 1911 announcing this new device being installed at the Western Union that can double telegraph speed to keep up with a typewriter. It was like getting to watch the story of Morse code bugs unfold.
And we stumbled on an article from 1912 covering newly revealed details about the Titanic sinking. In addition to covering the news, it described SOS and taught readers about Morse code and wireless communication, which would have been very new to them at the time.
We found articles from 1942 towards the end of World War II about some of the ways Morse code was used, including this article describes how Tokyo would send out propaganda broadcasts in Morse code, beaming across the Pacific, fully expecting the United States to hear them. These weren't secret messages. They were basically international press releases tapped out in dits and dahs. The U.S. monitoring stations copied them, newspapers printed them, and just like that, wartime news traveled around the world at 20 words per minute, even if it was just propaganda.
Wondering what to study in college back in those days? We found an article suggesting that Morse code should be one of those things. There were even help wanted ads for women telegraph operators.
There were ads that were almost full page for Army signal sets for practicing Morse code, since they didn't have V-band back then. Want to practice Morse code? Check out these vinyl records to help during your study sessions. What great Christmas presents.
Think keys are too expensive these days? We found an ad from 1946 where you could have picked up your very own J38 for just $1.75.
And just in case you're impatient with your pace of learning Morse code, we found an article from 1958 that says it takes 10 years for a man to become a first-class Morse operator.
And last, if you're worried about people who have told you that Morse is a dying language, we'll leave you with this article from 1958 where they were claiming the exact same thing back then.